Hey art friends, in this lesson, we're going to learn how to draw an eagle, a bald eagle, and we're just drawing the head. So I hope you're going to follow along with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. You need your drawing supplies. I'm going to use a colored pencil to first draw with, but you can use whatever you have at home, even just a regular pencil. Let's first start by drawing the general shape of our eagle head. We're going to draw an oval shape right here in the middle of our paper, but maybe towards the top. A little bit more towards the top of our paper so that we have room for the neck down here. So I draw it about this big. And it's okay if these lines are messy or if you draw a bunch of them, because these are just guidelines, just so we can get the general shapes right before we draw all of the details and also add color. Okay, now let's draw the eye, and we're going to draw a circle right in the middle of this oval, so we could split it right in half. And then we're going to draw it a little higher towards the top of the main shape. So we're going to draw it right about here. And we're going to draw it this big. Then we're going to draw the beak. And we're going to start over here about the same height as the eye. So right about here, we're going to draw a line that comes straight out from here. And we're going to draw a curve that comes out from the oval. And then we're going to curve down. And we're going to draw the curve pretty far down. We're going to come down about that far. And then we're going to come back up. And then we're going to draw a little zigzag or a little curve here in the mouth. And then we're going to draw the line for the rest of the mouth coming back. And we're going to end just under the eye. Because these are guidelines, you want to press lightly so that we're not pressing too hard, because we may want to change these lines later. Okay, now right here, let's draw the rest of the beak coming in like this. We're going to curve down to the mouth, and then we're going to curve around the mouth, and then we're going to come back in like this and connect. Then right here at the bottom, we can draw a zigzag coming towards the right, and we're going to draw the bottom of the beak curving like this and connecting. Oh, it's already looking so cool. Now remember, if I ever go too fast, you can pause the video and take extra time to get any of these shapes just the way you want them. And it's okay if your drawings don't look exactly like mine, because the most important thing is to have fun and to practice. Okay, now let's draw the inside of the eye or the pupil. Draw it right about here in this size. On top of the eye, we can add a little curve that comes in for the eyebrow. Bald eagles always seem to look a little upset because of their eyebrow that comes down. They have a heavy eyebrow that overlaps on top of the eye. We could also come over here and draw a little shape for the nostril. It looks like a raindrop shape. And then let's draw the neck. So we'll start here underneath the mouth, and we could add little zigzags coming down, and then maybe we'll come down even further. There we go. And we can draw the back of the head. Let's add a few little feathers here on the forehead. So I'm going to add some zigzags and come back further. Add a few more zigzags. Then when we get to the end of the head or behind the head, we're going to come out a little further. It's okay if these lines are wobbly and messy. They're just guidelines. Okay, we're going to come down further. And then right here at the end, let's add some big zigzags. Some of them can be small and some of them can be big. All the way until we connect to the front of the head. We can also add a few little V-shapes or additional feathers that come out further underneath that first zigzag. We could also add, let's add more feathers or texture lines right here underneath. You could also add a few more feather texture lines coming down the neck. I'm going to go back over some of these lines just to make them show up on the camera a little bit stronger. So remember, you can press lightly, but I'm going to press a little bit more firmly so that they show up. Now we're ready to color. I'm using my biennial markers. These are alcohol-based markers. You don't have to use biennial if you have any alcohol-based markers. They'll work great. Also, you can use whatever you have at home or in the classroom. You can use colored pencils to color your drawings. You could also use paint if you wanted to. The first color I'm using is yellow. If you have the same set, I'm using Y107. And this is the yellow we use for the beak. All I'm gonna do is color in the beak solid and also the little fleshy part that's around the eye. This part will fast forward, so remember to pause the video and take time to color in your drawings. Next, I'm switching to a warm gray. This is WG03. This is really light gray. We're used for adding shadows to the feathers. This part will fast forward again, but at the end, remember to pause the video and you can use my drawing as inspiration for yours. And this already looks a little too dark, so I'm gonna switch to even a lighter gray. That's better. This is WG01. We'll use this to add the shading around the eye and also down here on the neck. When you're adding this feather texture, it's important to make it look messy. So try not to make each of the feathers look perfect or just spend a lot of time trying to get the texture looking just the way you want. It looks a little better if you just make it messy and more natural. Now that we have that first layer in, we'll let it dry, and then we're gonna go back over it and add another layer. And when we do this, it'll add a darker layer on top, since it's two layers on top of each other. And this will add even more contrast and shading on the feathers. Now let's add shading to the beak right here on the mouth. I'm gonna use the same gray and layer on top of the yellow. Darken in the top beak or the mouth, and then this bottom part of the beak, we're gonna add a shadow underneath. Then we can also add a shadow inside of the nostril. Now I'm gonna switch to WG03. This is a darker gray to add a little more shadow on the mouth. Next, let's color in the eye. We're gonna use our black marker to first color in the pupil, and instead of coloring the whole circle just solid black, we're gonna create a little reflection to make the eye look shiny and also more realistic. So I'm going to create this little shape inside of the eye that we're going to leave white, and then we'll go around and color in the rest of the eye black. Around the outside of the eye, there's also a black border. So we're going to start here, and we're going to draw coming down like this. And then in the corner of the eye, it gets a little thicker, comes out to a point, like that. And then we're gonna draw and come under the eye. And then right here at the bottom of the eye, we're gonna leave that thin where you can't even see the black border. So we'll come back up here and we'll trace around the circle, coming down and doing the same thing, just coming down to a point. Now I'm gonna switch to a yellow colored pencil and just color in lightly. This is a really light yellow. It's called lemon yellow. Using this to color in or add some yellow color to the actual eye. I'm also switching back to the gray, the 20% gray, just to color in the highlight right here so it's not as strong. And we can also use this gray to start adding in a shadow underneath the eyebrow. Next, let's switch to our black colored pencil to add even more contrast to the eye. I'm gonna add a darker line underneath the eyebrow. Comes forward like this. And then we're gonna add some shading to the top of the eye. Next, let's use an orange colored pencil. This is called yellowed orange, or PC1002, and this is to add orange to the beak. So it's not just solid yellow. We're gonna add a little texture to the beak to make it look more realistic. After you've added the orange colored pencil to the beak, you can go back over it with a yellow colored pencil to smooth out the texture, the pencil lines. Now I'm using the same 20% gray that we first started drawing with. I'm going back over the bird to add even more texture here close to the beak, in between the eye and the beak, and also more feather texture down the neck. This is a 20% warm gray. It's also PC1051 if you have the same Prismacolor colored pencils. We did it! We finished drawing and coloring our bald eagle, and I love how it turned out. I hope you had a lot of fun following along with me, and remember, at any time you can pause the video and take extra time to add even more shading, more texture, and even more details to your drawings. You can spend as much time as you want. Also, I promise if you do this lesson again a second time, it'll turn out even better than the first time. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new lessons. And we'll see you later, art friends. Goodbye.